Welcome to this episode of Samvadanam. This is Anand in conversation with Deepika Varadarajan. Deepika's debut performance was at the age of 3 for the 64th birth anniversary celebrations of Dr. M.L. Vasanthkumari, an ace classical singer. Deepika's mother, Geeta Varadarajan, introduced her to music while her father, Varadarajan, was instrumental in the progress of Deepika's career. Deepika is a disciple of Padma Bhushan awardee Sudha Raghunathan and Pandit Prasad Kapatte. Deepika has performed far and wide, including prestigious festivals like in the Sankat Mochan Sangeet Samora, Varanasi, Tansen Samora, Gwalior, Taj Mahotsav Agra, Swaratirth, and many, many more. Deepika has sung in 6 languages for leading music directors like Ilayaraja, A.R. Rahman, M.S. Vishwanathan, Deva and Vidyasagar, Shankar Mahadevan, M.M. Keeravani, Shri Koti, Devi Shri Prasad, Anu Malik, Jakes Bijoy, Sirpi, S.A. Rajkumar, etc. Deepika has featured All India Radio A-grade artist. She has been conferred with the titles of Yuvakala Bharati by Bharat Kalachar and Isai Chudar by Karthik Fine Arts. Deepika performs with legendary singer Shankar Mahadevan on his special concerts.
Hi Deepika, welcome to Samvadanam. We are so excited to have you here today.
Hi, thank you so much, Nidula ji, for inviting me and having me on the show. Looking forward.
Oh, lovely. And believe me, it's our pleasure. And we have been, waiting to have this conversation for quite a while. Such a talented and multifaceted artist. But it also, looks, it's sort of a peek into what you do, what you're thinking, and, just what goes on in that mind of yours, right? Artists are a different creed by themselves, always thinking, always innovating, and having fun along the way. So we want to sort of pick your brains for that. And we're so glad that you were able to take time and join us today. But I'm going to start off quickly with, we would love to hear a little bit about yourself from your words, like, just your journey or where you started and where you think you're going. That would be lovely.
So basically, my mom, Geeta Varadarajan, she is a singer, classically trained. She learned from Srimati Charumati Ramachandran Amma and a couple of others like Vairamangalam Lakshminarayan and so on, all of them. So she used to practice at home. And of course, later she joined with Ilayaraja sir and she sang for almost all the music directors here in the South. So her career went into the film industry. Having said that, she used to practice classical music at home every day regularly. So when I grew up from my childhood, music has always been there in the atmosphere, and I was exposed to listening to Carnatic classical
Correct.
music. So the initial songs that I picked up were only by listening. I sang for Dr. MLV Amma's 64th birth anniversary when I was about maybe three and a half.
Oh,
That was actually my first, singing publicly, I should say, on a public forum. So that was my first public performance, so to say. I sang the invocation for her birthday celebrations. But that was again picked up by listening to my mom sing.
true.
But later, of course, she began to teach me formally basics of classical music. And further, I started learning from O.S. Tyagarajan sir, Vittal Ramurthy sir, a couple of years. And then I learned from Vairamangalam Lakshminarayan sir and Vijay Raghavan sir. Post which from 97, I got an opportunity to, start training under Sudama, Padma Bhushan Sudha Raghunathan. So since then, it's been learning from her. Yes.
Lovely, lovely. And you have dabbled in quite a few things. So I want to sort of get into that as well. So, what I also wanted to sort of understand is you sing and proficient as well in Hindustani music as well as Carnatic music. Just tell us a little bit about, of course, there are differences, there are commonalities, but your switch and the way you were able to tune into these two different art forms, although they are both classical art forms, there are differences that require a completely different kind of practice or the voice. So give us a little bit of insight into that as well.
I think me learning Hindustani classical music was nothing short of a miracle in my life because none of us were actually listening to Hindustani classical music, honestly, because all of us have been in Chennai. Like my parents
Right.
also, it was not like a family that transferred or got a job transfer, went somewhere to the
Correct.
north. Nothing of that sort. My grandparents, they were also like ardent lovers of music, but classical, as in Carnatic classical music, the South Indian classical music.
Right.
So honestly, we've never listened to Hindustani classical music. But I think God's grace, I guess, I got to listen to this song called Allah Hi Rahim in the movie called My Name is Khan. And somehow I was just blown away by the voice, sheer quality of singing, and the sheer voice quality, and the tonality and the way in which it was sung. So I later Googled up to see who the singer was. And then I figured out that it was someone called Ustad Rashid Khan Saab. Trust me, until then I had never heard of this name even though he was such a great artist. It's my bad, honestly. And I've never heard him sing live concerts. And I didn't even know that this was a classical singer in the first place. And then I Googled up and then I started to listen to his original concert stuff, like his classical things. And I was blown away, like, it just swept away that way. So I thought, in this lifetime, God's grace, music's grace, music has chosen me to be an instrument to, convey anything that I wanted to via music. So I thought if I had to sing in this lifetime, and if my purpose of life in this lifetime is to be singing, then I felt I should be singing this way. In the sense that the kind of impact that he had on me, his voice had, his singing
True.
had on me, that's the kind of impact that I should be able to cast on the people that are listening to me. So I said, whatever it takes, I'm going to be learning to be able to sing this way. In fact, my idea was not even to learn or perform Hindustani classical music, nothing of that sort. So I just said I want to be learning this particular ghanana because I was really fascinated by his style of, his school of singing, basically. So I approached and I was very, very lucky that, the very first call that I made was to his senior most disciple, Pandit Prasad Khapardeji. And he readily accepted. Again, it's God's grace. And since then, and from there, my Hindustani classical music learning started on. I really wanted to hone my vocal quality and tonality and singing on the sur even more with a lot of perfection. That was my basic idea. But eventually, with a lot of learning, and of course, Prasadji had put in a lot of efforts, and with all the training, I think it's landed up at a place where people are accepting me performing Hindustani classical music full-fledged, in a full-fledged way.
So lovely. And of course, there would be so much of difference between the way you practice as
Yeah,
well. And what was the
yeah.
biggest challenge for you when you started it in terms of just the voice or, the way you sang it? What were the major challenges that you felt? Of course, you overcame them eventually, but initially there would have been these bumps on the road, right? What were they?
Still in the process, I guess. Still in the process. But honestly, like one thing that we really worked on was getting the akar right. Because when you start the alap in Carnatic music, we can kind of have it medium fast. You know what I'm trying to say? Like it can be in that pace. Whereas in Hindustani classical music, holding every note is of extreme importance to the extent that the quality of a singer is measured or, gauged a lot of times based on the way the notes are held in tune with the tanpura, in tune with the sur, and with the steadiness with which they're actually holding the note. So that's very important. And the toughest part is here, at least when you start a concert in Carnatic music, you're there with the Varnam, and immediately you have like your accompanist joining you. Okay, maybe you do an alapana for like 1-2 minutes and then you are into it. That's kind of like a warm up where it's everybody are with you, playing with you.
Correct.
But typically in Hindustani classical music, when you start the alap, it's just the voice and the tanpura. And I can tell you that it's damn scary. It's like, it's very difficult. It's very difficult because when everybody is there, it's like pin drop silence in just the tanpura playing, like the acoustic playing. And then it's just going to be your
Your
voice
voice.
and nothing else that's going to come in to kind of like,
Correct.
give in support. Of course, that's there. Like the harmonium will join in, but much later. Still, even the harmonium will not be playing phrases. When you hold a nishad, then it's going to be your voice holding the nishad. They might kind of, sort of a second fiddle come in and fade off. But primarily, it's going to be your voice and the tanpura. So mentally, that requires a lot of calmness, which is it's kind of an oxymoron for me on the stage because you're very anxious. Because it's going to be the first note that you're singing. But that's the moment that your mind needs to be like at most calm state of level possible. So that's something I'm still practicing. Of course, long way to go. That was one major challenge. In terms of the gamakams, they're very different, very very different from what I've been used to singing in Carnatic music. For example, like "Hmm, ta na, ta na, na." So those kind of gamaks are there, right? In Rampur Saswan Gharana, in the school of music of Hindustani classical that I've been training with, these don't feature much. Instead, if I were to take a phrase in Kedar, I would rather have to take it this way, like "Ta na, ah, na," as opposed to "Ta na, ta na, ta." So that might be a way I might sing a Hamir Kalyani, or I would have sung a Hamir Kalyani earlier.
Right.
So those things, it was a lot of effort and practice. Of course, my guru kept telling that this is the way it needs to be done, and ironing out and all of that. So yeah, a lot of work, yes, and it's in process.
Absolutely lovely to hear. And uh, could you give us like an example of a phrase where you said that you have to hold the notes, right? Which are very important.
Mm,
So could you
mm.
just, show us some?
Say if I were to start a concert or start an alap, not even a concert, like even at home when I'm practicing or in my class, say if we were doing Yaman, let me turn the camera around. So Yaman is Ni ga ma dha ni sa sa ni dha pa ma ga re sa. A near equivalent of Kalyani Ragam that's sung here in the South Indian classical music. So if I were to start a Yaman rag, ideally Nishad is one of the most important notes of Yaman rag. So I might ideally start as this. So that
Lovely.
would be a kind of a start, you know. Of course, I did till the Gandhar, but to even go to the Gandhar, it might take time on a concert stage because you're still
Right.
warming up and tuning to the Tansura.
That was
Whereas if I
absolutely
were to start a Kalyani Alapana, I would definitely do something like "Ta na 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 na, ta da ra na na na, ah na 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 na, ta ra ra na 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 na." So I've almost done a circle there, you know.
No, that's absolutely. I wonder, I mean, this is an odd question perhaps. Have you ever really suddenly switched between the two styles at any point of time by mistake on stage when you're singing, or are you so much into that space? Or perhaps even during practice. Has that happened where the delineation did not happen between the two?
Not by mistake or purposefully switch, but people at both the places. Like, for instance, when I sang in, say, for example, like a place in Varanasi, they definitely hear the South Indian influences when I sing, but not obviously. Like, I'm not singing like a, for example, say some other raga, like I'm doing a Purya Kalyan, and then it's not like I'm singing a phrase from Purvi Kalyan
Hmm.
into the Purya Kalyan, but they do hear the South Indian influences. Likewise, when I sing a Carnatic music concert here, people have, of course, heard me sing a lot of, Hindustani classical music or a Thumri or a ghazal. So they hear that in the voice here. When I hold a note, then they say that, oh, this is the influence of the North Indian classical music, that she's actually holding a note this way, in a particular way. Or, like generally also as a person, because we keep listening to all these years I'm saying, it's not over, like a week or a month. It's been like, I'm talking about decades.
Exactly.
Like at least Hindustani classical music, definitely 12 plus years, and Carnatic music has been double of that, at least 25 plus years. So this many years of hearing both, it's now become like one unit for me. The influence is definitely there from both the sides very strongly. So people hear it, but I don't really see it that way, nor have I made a switch. And
True.
sometimes people do ask me, like when I go sing in the north, they say, we want to hear something which is very purely from Carnatic. Then I do like a kind of a medley where I'm singing a portion from Nagu Momo and then taking a bhajan in Bhim Palasi, things like that. Yeah.
Really? I mean, can you show us an example of that?
Like for example, mm, mm, जगमेले परमात्मा ఎవరితో మొరలిడుదు ఓ జగమేలే పరమాత్మ ఎవరితో మొరలిడుదు వగజూపకు తాళను నన్నేలు కోరా వగజూపకు తాళను నన్నేలు కోరా త్యాగరాజనుతని వగజూపకు తాళను నన్నేలు కోరా త్యాగరాజనుతని నగుమో ఓ మూగనలే ఈ రాజాలి తెలిసి ఈ నన్ను బ్రోవర రాధా శ్రీ రఘువరని నగుమో ప్రేమ మగన మనసే సకల కామన విహారీ ప్రేమ మగన మనసే సకల కామన విహారీ జోహి జపత రామన జోహి జపత రామన सोई मुख कृपा पाई राम 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 भजो भाई राम 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 भजो भाई राम भजन दिन जन्म सदा दुखदाई राम 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 भजो भाई
Oh, that was just so lovely. Absolutely lovely. And just a delight to hear.
Thank you.
And I'm going to ask you something. I also know that you have sung quite a few albums and film songs. So, just to understand a little more, a couple of questions on that. The transition and the changes that you had to make to sing in that genre, it should be different from a classical Carnatic or a Hindustani vocal concert. The other thing is also, I mean, how was the acceptance and you shift genres quite very well, in fact. But the acceptance, or were there any criticisms? That's also something that, we would love to hear a little bit about. So, your take on that.
I think I was lucky enough because since my childhood, all these have happened simultaneously. Because of the serial that I did for K. Balachandra sir, Kaiyalavu Manasu, a lot of people got to know about me, and me being a singer, me being a classical musician was because of Kaiyalavu Manasu.
Mm.
Because my role in the serial was that I was learning classical music. It was literally like my life journey that was being pictured and telecast on Sun TV, literally. Because it was this kid who was actually singing. He, in fact, auditioned and he chose me only because I was able to sing classical
Right.
music. That was the main role, and acting was never there in the family, and he didn't even look for any acting skills. He said, I just want her to be natural and come and sing on this set. That's it. So I was actually learning in my real life, and that's what I was doing on the serial also. And in the later stages of the serial, I was actually made to be a professional singer,
Mm.
which is what it turned out to be in real
Right.
life as well. So, it was very miraculous in that sense. So people knew that I was as such acting. That was one thing that was kind of ticked in the list. And parallelly, simultaneously, because my mom was singing in film music, film industry here in the South, like all like Telugu, Kannadam, everything was there. Recording was happening in Chennai at that point
Right.
in time. So because of that, the music composers got to know that I was singing. So that's how I auditioned, got an opportunity to audition for this movie called Little Soldiers in Telugu. So that was my first ever movie song, and in that movie, I sang about 4 songs, and they went on to become a huge hit. So people gradually in the industry got to know that I was singing, and whenever there was an opportunity for a child's voice, in any movie or devotional album, then they used to call me, and that's how opportunity started coming in. So at the same point in time, people got to know that I was singing all these, like whether it's an ad film or a devotional album or film songs or acting. And, of course, at that point in time, my performing classical music didn't start off because I was just learning Carnatic music then. I just begun to learn. So all of these happened much earlier than me beginning to do concerts professionally. So concerts followed much later. In that sense, people have always been open, in that way. Of course, Hindustani classical music was like a, major shift because both are very, very
Right.
distinct forms of Indian classical music. But I guess again, I've been lucky enough that people have been appreciative of it. Criticisms, yes, but definitely I listen to or I get a lot of constructive critical
Feedback,
feedback
yes.
mainly from my gurus, from both
Mm.
my gurus. Mainly, that'll be like my first point of criticism where immediately after I finish a concert, I definitely like be it Sudama or Prasadji, I definitely like before the concert tell them what the list is definitely. More so with my Hindustani classical music because I'm just entering there, so it's definitely I kind of get an okay or ask him for what I could be singing for that evening because it's highly time based, right, in
Right.
Hindustani classical music, and also based on what the previous artists are going to be performing and the artist after me, whether it's going to be a senior instrumentalist or a senior vocalist. Based on all that, we definitely work a lot of homework is done in deciding the list. But after my concert also, definitely I send my recordings first thing, to my gurus, ask them for what their feedback is. And again, it's every point. They're like, like for example, like recently, even after my concert that I did recently for Hindustani classical music, he always says, "Ki 10th minute, 30th second, see, your voice sounds a little false. So, we don't want to hear that kind of a sounding next time when you're taking a nishad. So it's that kind of
So precise,
into the
precise
so
feedback.
precise, very, very precise, very precise. In Sudhama's case, in fact, I send her all my music. For instance, now I'm, composing and singing for a Sri Lankan production. It's a devotional album, but we're trying to arrange it in a contemporary way, even though the tunes are highly classically grounded. So I send her all my music, whether it's an ad film or a film song or a concert. So, I keep sending her that and then she listens to it and she tells me her feedback. So that's a constant loop. It's the kind of bond that you share with your gurus
Absolutely.
forever. Criticism from outside, of course, like people say things like my mom also listens to the concert. Sometimes she says, "Oh, இந்த வார்த்தை சரியா கேட்கல, இது இன்னும் better கேட்கணும்," and all of that. So it's the immediate circle that's giving you honest
Absolutely.
feedback, whether it's appreciation or criticism. So definitely open to it.
No, lovely. But have there been any criticisms of you, say, singing in film music and then coming back singing Carnatic music, or singing in Carnatic music and then singing in film music? Is that something that is widely accepted now? Or is it being more widely accepted? Or are there still some hesitation on that part? Do you face it?
No, I think it has always been accepted. See, the ones that want to criticize giving these things as reasons are I just find it very flimsy. If you find something wrong in the way of singing, then yes, accept it, 100% wholeheartedly. But if you're going to come and give reasons saying, just because, oh, ni cinema la paadra or albums paadra or, வேற ஏதோ ஒரு, contemporary albums you're singing. So I think that I really don't attach much importance to. And luckily, not many people have come and told me that way. Like, told me in that sense.
Right.
In recordings, you really can't escape the loop because when you're singing into the mic, it's just you, the sound engineer, and the music composer, and the mics are not going to lie.
Absolutely.
If you're good, they tell you on your face you're good. If you're bad, then they keep pressing the record button even 100 times. So you know that you're not okay there. So there, Angavanda, it's luckily I've never had, like I said, because my family, they've been juggling it that way. Maybe it's there in the, blood, or it's because
It's
of the
just your
opportunities
genes,
luckily
yeah.
that I've gotten. Huh. So it's never been a case where I go into a recording and they say, "Illa romba, it's sounding very classical," or in the gamakam is not required, you're singing. It's never been that way.
Right.
Rather, they say, "You illa, we want it more Carnatic." In a places like, they say, "Please, can you make like extra gamakams and, make it sound it that way?" அப்படிதான் இருந்திருக்கே தவிர, it's never been the other way around.
Oh, that's so lovely to hear. And you're a classic case of, is it nurture versus nature, and that's what we're looking at. It seems to be a very good blend of both. And no, but this has been absolutely lovely. And where do you see the future? Because, to a large extent, I think the last 1 or 2 generations have used technology quite a bit. They're comfortable with it as well.
Yeah.
So, auto-tuning to everything else seems to be part of what is happening. Where do you see going forward? What is a path that you think you will chart for yourself? Of course, it always organically happens. Things that have to happen will happen. But where do you
Yeah.
see yourself going? What do you think is the next step for you, or something that you really would love to do?
Oh, I think it's even thus far, the things that have happened have never even kind of existed in my imagination, so to say. Like, even with the case of me, even my studies wise, like, I never thought I would someday go to an engineering college and study engineering, but that's what eventually happened. uh, so is the case with Hindustani classical music, or so is the case with composing. It's not that, we're sitting and planning it out. So my gurus have always told me, like, just keep practicing and, just keep putting the effort, no matter what happens. Like, today you might get a concert, you might not get a concert, or, you might get singing opportunities, might not. Doesn't matter, but just keep practicing and things will fall
Eventually
in
pan out.
place,
Yeah.
eventually.
As we
But
say,
diversify, yes, like I said, in terms of the music that I sing, I really want to be singing good music. Audience free to label it, give them name tags however you want to, but I want to be singing good music.
No, absolutely. The universe will conspire to make things happen. They have to happen.
Yeah. Huge believer of that.
I
Yes.
agree too. You never know what happens at what point of time. I mean, even a
Yeah.
serendipitous, conversation between us can, lead to another thing. So that's how life
No,
is.
absolutely. Absolutely. So true.
So thank you so much. It's been such a lovely conversation. And thank you for
Thank
sharing
you
and
so
taking
much.
time. Just your art, your expertise to share is always something that, artists are willing to do. But it's lovely for others to see how sort of unselfishly they can just share a lot of their knowledge and their passion. It always comes through. So
Yeah.
thank you
Yeah.
so much for taking the time
Now
out.
it's really nice of you that you are putting this on priority and trying to curate this series. It's very nice.
You know,
Keep up your good work always.
Thank you. It is a pleasure. So, sort of, I'm doing something I love, and you understand that. So, it sort of resonates. That's why. But thank you so much, Deepika.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Lovely.